I think more often than not that Optic is going to need Rush and Mixwell to play big, and I think Tarek is just someone who I think it feels like he takes more of like an entry role than Rush does. It feels like he takes more opening duels, and he just needs to play, you know, above average. He just needs to win those more often than not, right? Because the entry fragger is always going to have those up and down games. The guys who are taking the initial action are always going to be a little bit inconsistent. So as long as Tarek has some good games here and there, I think they can get by without him having a good game every single time around, but he needs to be able to have those explosive games.
Does it tilt you at all, Moses, that about 16 months ago we were talking to young Tarek and he was explaining to us, we were telling him, you should be an entry or a second entry with a rifle, you know, you'll be really good. He was telling us, no, I'm going to be the primary AWPer and a clutcher. And then, well, you know, we see how the career played out. We were right, Moses.
There's a lot of things that tilt me about this team. I'm going to be honest with you.
But I've just actually found what it was. It was DK. Okay, so NWDK is his Twitter name. He's obviously the guy who breaks all the news. He said on December 5th, Dignitas originally tried to grab Pimp for the ECS finals, but the ECS council voted against it, thus they asked Valde. And Rubino from Dignitas says that's actually not true. And now, here's the thing. He did do the little Thorin beak smiley face, so he might have been fucking with everyone, because someone from his own team confirmed it. Listen, everyone knows what that means at this point in time. Dude, I did a tweet the other day. Did you see it? I like retweeted someone. I can't think. Oh, it was that Jordan Peterson guy. You know that guy who's doing all that social justice warrior, anti-social justice shit? He did the little beak face when he's talking to someone, and he did it in the same sort of context that I would use it. So I don't know if I've influenced him through like advanced memetics or something, but I've changed the world, mate. I'm the reason Brexit and Trump happened. That beak face.
That is all you.
That is a slap to the totalitarian regressive left face that is being presented to us now, Moses. Big face for justice.
So is the new G2 going to be that dominating individual skill team? Will they be the new old Fnatic, or will the new old Fnatic be the old Fnatic?
What is happening at this point?
That is like the shittest limerick I've ever heard, like fucking tongue twister I've ever heard. But Moses, will the new Fnatic be the old new Fnatic, or will the new Fnatic be the new old Fnatic that you knew were old?
They had success.
So that's the interesting thing about
redundant comments with BDK, a new series starting with episode 1. Players, especially in the moment, can be so extreme in terms of how they think of like, oh, this just isn't working. Oh, I want something new. Sometimes they'll take something new over even what they know is a better option. Like they want to just roll the dice and be like, I want to just reset everything and see how it goes. And so the mad thing is, what I used to say to him during that year when he had all these opportunities to potentially leave, I used to say to him, listen, if you really want to do it right, if it's what you think is the only thing that will make you happy and you're so unhappy, like do it. Like you'll at some point maybe you need to do it to get it out of your system so you don't ever think, you know, what if I'd done it? But I said to him, just realize this. Since you have been in Fnatic, you have never failed to make the playoffs. You have made it into the semis of almost every tournament, and you have won, like, at that point, I think it was like, you know, like 60%, 70% of the tournaments you have played in with like this lineup, okay? So I said, just realize there is an incredibly high chance, no matter how well it works out, even if you win tournaments elsewhere, what I've just described now will never happen to you again in your career. Like, you will not just live in a world where a bad tournament is semi-finals. You might be in a team where your best day is making a semi-final. Now, by the way, Godsent didn't even have that, you know, like you know, the best case scenario for some teams, I actually told him the point. I said, dude, look at Astralis. Like, they have a way better team on paper than some of the teams you're talking about making. They never made the final major at the time, you know, like they never made one. They've won, like, you know, some tournaments, but not that many, you know. Like I said, you can net that whole like the grass is greener thing makes even less sense when you're already sat in a fucking incredibly green meadow that has been voted most green meadow of all time. Like, it doesn't really make a whole lot of sense. Yeah, but look, that one is even greener. Kill yourself. Like, have you ever thought maybe the distance and how the colours interact with your eyes and making you think it's greener? End of optical lesson.
Jesus fucking Christ.
Basically, all of those pros, from my understanding, started out. This is why I know in the Korean scene they used to be like this. They all had super high sensitivity because they used to play with really bad mice initially. So they just learned to like wrist aim essentially. Basically, how players used to play in 1.6 in like the first 3 years before huge mouse mats and really good high resolution mice that could go super low sense. And so I actually get the sense that a lot of them have retained that style. Like a lot of them look like they have a fast flick sensitivity. And the problem with that is this has always been why I've told people in general you don't fuck with your sensitivity massively, is because if you ever go from a really low sense to a high sense, right, what you won't do is your brain won't notice all the kills you're missing. It'll just notice those 2 mad flicks that you'll get that were impossible when you had a low sense. And you'll think, right, well, since I couldn't do that before, I now have a better sense. What you'll actually find is, when you then spray, you're obviously worse, So there's like a give and take to it. And so the flaw is, if a lot of these Europeans don't understand that kind of backstory that I just gave there, they're going to play a scrim against the guy. He's going to do like a 180 headshot on him, and they're going to go, holy shit, this guy must be like Forrest or something. It's like, well, no, but the question is, would he do like the normal spray onto you and get the kill?
But what we saw there, I'm like, okay, these guys have the aim. If they just had someone, who could speak in Mongolian, who knows how Counter-Strike works, they could be decent. It could be a decent bloody team.
They had some sick jackets as well. They had the jackets with Genghis Khan like embroidered on the back of them. Started the great Twitter debate from Sumfus, who said, let's not even go there.
That was hilarious, though.
That's how you get back.
That was funny. No, but here's why it was genius. Because here's the thing. His was just almost like stoner talk, like, hey, dude, what if like some German team had like on their jacket? It's like, Sumfus, which one of these two, obviously mass, do you imagine has the most remaining victims still alive and is still kind of in our minds? Like, well, the good thing, if anything we can say about the Mongols invading Europe and the rest of the world is it isn't too soon anymore to talk about that and make jokes and caricatures, is it? Sumfus, of course. Had to be Sumfus. one of my favorites, by the way, one of the favorites of the show. Love that guy.
And that's the crazy thing about Astralis, even in the grand finals, much like the major, where it feels like on a certain level Virtus.pro should have won that. There's a world where FaZe wins that final in Katowice 3-0, where Dupree doesn't get that Deagle ace on overpass, where he doesn't have the heroics in the next map as well. Like, I mean, that's what's so crazy about this. But I don't think they're going to have an era the way there was a Fnatic era or a NiP era or even SK. We kind of give them that era from last year.
See, I like that, Moses, because here's the thing. Doubling down. You can say that all you want. Like, Zeus, comment on this, okay? So you remember when everyone told you, you know what? Oh, you guys did so well in Luminosity. But you know what? Na'Vi should have won the major, like Guardian. Oh, his hand was like injured. And you know what? Fnatic was the best team, but yeah, Olaf got injured. It doesn't really matter, does it? If they say, oh, it should have, and oh, we were so close. It only really matters if you have the trophy, right?
Exactly. I mean, at the end of the day, we did everything. Everyone that showed up against us, we played to win, and we won, right? Yeah. We can't do anything if they showed up without a left hand or without our right arm, because that's on them, unfortunately, right? Of course, I'd love to have faced Fnatic like in that. Everyone wanted to see, because they were kind of what inspired us, right? At first, it was Na'Vi. We wanted to beat Na'Vi because there was that huge rivalry. That was our first step. After we were able to beat them at Starlighter the first time, it became that now we want Fnatic, right? Because they were the big dogs at the time. And we practiced as hard as I've ever seen anyone practice just for that. And we never got a chance. So for us, it sucks as well. But no one can ever take the credit away from us, because everyone that showed up, we showed them how to play. I mean, the finals of Cologne as an example. Liquid had an amazing tournament, and we control that game very easily because we were understanding the game very well at the time. After that, there was a break and things changed, of course. I'm not going to say it's just me, but like once everyone started to understand how we were working the system, it changed. But until then, we dominated the scene.
Zeus, on the topic of VP, do you like trash talk? Do you enjoy when players get a little bit feisty, they fire a few shots? Do you like it?
Dude, I come from the 1.6 days in Brazil where every match was face to face, one computer at the other. Yes. You stand up, point your finger in the guy's face. Those are the glory days. Okay,
because there was a moment in this tournament that people did see, because I don't go on the Reddit, but listen, I love it. Like, to me, that fires me up. I love seeing this. Okay, so did you see that when Virtus.pro got knocked out? If you remember, when Virtus.pro won DreamHack Vegas, okay, and obviously their big rivals are Astralis, They beat Astralis, they won Vegas. Taz tweeted this picture, right? It was a picture of him pointing up, like, #1. And he said something along the lines of, like, love us, hate us. We're #1, love us, hate us, you fuel us. So the second Virtus.pro went out, Device retweeted that tweet, so it went to the top of his timeline. And all he said, Moses, was he just said, just trying to refuel him, guys. That is fucking... if this was like a TV show, I can't wait for the next episode. That is an amazing cliffhanger. I want to see the next time these two teams play each other. Like, the problem with support role is usually I just give that to the person who does like very tricky roles that require like a lot of nuance and aren't just about killing people. But in general, I go more towards the idea that it's like supportive, and I put support as the counterbalance to the carry. So my role is more, it's the idea that like, okay, if I have Coldzera, like a lot of the game is built around him. He gets what he wants. The guys who don't get what they want and they have to like facilitate the star, they're the ones I put in the supportive categories. I never make it like a literal position like this one guy does it, but I definitely think it's like, in fact, I described it, I think in my videos, like a spectrum, basically. You're somewhere on the spectrum. And yeah, if you are like Zipnix or Crims or whatever, sometimes it'll be very extreme how far you are on the spectrum. Like, most players aren't going to be like that, where like every map, you know, they're like, give me the worst position, always have me be the anchor on us. You know, most people don't have as ridiculous as that. You know, most people are somewhere in the middle on one side or the other. But the reason why I do think it exists to some degree is because you do get these really, really extreme ones like that. But it also counterbalances carries. You get people who literally get everything they want in the game, you know, because they're so good. It's like the same thing, you know. Most carries didn't get everything in every team because they can't do it, you know. You don't just give every AWPer, oh, take this peak mid every time if you want. No. But if you're Guardian, you go, yeah, fucking do it anytime you want, mate, you know. It's a range for me.
Yeah, I think it was always interesting to me because I know from even talking to Coldzera himself, because I was just like, who's who? Because it was
fucking you heard the name dropper on this episode, Chad. He's fucking hanging out with Andy, having fucking, I don't know, Russian champagne or something. Then he's like, oh, hey, Coldzera, like, short guys got to stick together. Corral. And they're like, hey, there we go. I got him, Chad. I got him. Come on. So the point is, like, I think it's good to have the framework because it's sort of like a shorthand that everyone understands the basics of. But I do agree that it's very rare that people are like literally like it would be like if every center in the NBA, every one of them was 7 foot, just only stayed a foot away from the basket, only did like spin moves or whatever. No, like half the players don't even do that at that position, you know. So I think there's a value to it. I agree that you can't go too extreme on it though.
I think like a good example is, you know, we would say that Zipnix would be a support player, right? But
sure,
to label him like that as a guy who sets other people up, sure, he sets them up to enter into the bomb site, but the reason he does that is because he's so fucking sick of clutching, right? Like, okay. so it's to have him.
So perhaps he could be the clutch role.
Don't you dare!
Chad.
Don't you dare fucking
the clutch role, perhaps? Would that be his role? Yeah.
Oh,
okay.
I'm going
there you go, Moses. I have turned your ally against you. Okay, so let me ask you a question then, Sponge. What would you call Zipnix then? What role should we give him?
I just use retarded names for things because I'm from Australia.
Jesus, I'm glad he finished that sentence. I just use retarded. Fucking hell, I thought you liked the guy. I know he's got a big head, but I think he's just a normal guy. That's just a big head.
Hear me now, because the thing is, I wouldn't be able to get all the work I do without my brethren, the Mandem, in the Skrilluminati, my Patreon community, because this video, like all of them on my channel, is kindly supported by Frisky, Matt Pugnatio Rajcula, Ahmed Hadjou, Jensen Goh, Tobias Bernasconi, Animosity, Torin, Tosh, and you know it, a special thanks always goes out to Jerky's Minion, who always has my back. Would you like to ask a question in my regular AMAs? Do you want to suggest a topic or a guest I could take in my work? Do you want teasers? Find out who the upcoming guests are going to be. Maybe you want to be part of those lengthy esports discussions I do with my top donators. Well, if so, put your money where your mouth is and join the Skrilluminati today, where? Via the Patreon link in the description box below.